Welcome to Donald's Psalmody class for presenters and tenor singers. The next tune in the 1970 Scottish Psalmody is Bedford. And Bedford is a town in the south of England which in ecclesiastical circles is famous for the Bedford tinker. That is John Bunyan, who is the author of many books, the most famous ones being the Pilgrim's Progress and the Holy War. The Pilgrim's Progress maps out the progress of a Christian from his unconverted state all the way to heaven. And the Holy War is about the battle that there is between the devil and the Lord Jesus Christ in order to save his people from their sins. There's also Bedford jail, because he was put in jail for his preaching, and in jail he also composed the book that's called Grace Abounding to the Chief of Sinners, and this is an excellent book with regard to Christian experience, and he describes how he was in his unconverted days, how ignorant he was about the gospel and the great difficulty he had in finding peace, and that largely because he had preachers that didn't know the gospel themselves and who were unable to explain it to him. But he became so familiar with his Bible that it was said that his blood was bibline. That is, if you pricked him anywhere, it was the Bible that came out of him, and that is a good testimony. There are many good testimonies to him. John Owen, who was the principal theologian of England, who was a Puritan preacher in the University of Oxford and also briefly a member of Parliament for that university, and who preached before the Long Parliament, who was with Oliver Cromwell, and who had many accolades to his memory. He admired John Bunyan's preaching, although he was but a tinker and was not as educated as Owen was, and he certainly extolled the gifts that the Bedford tinker had. So that gives you some background to this tune, which is called Bedford. As before, I'll sing the soprano and invite you to and encourage you to sing along on the soprano, and then I'll slip into the tenor at various points, in and out of the tenor and the soprano, just so that you'll hear the harmony as you continue on in the soprano. And we'll sing it from Psalm 32 in the Scottish metrical version. We'll sing the first 6 stanzas, which is a topic that John Bunyan would have preached on very frequently, because it deals with how a sinner can be just with God, how his sins are forgiven. It is by the imputation of Christ's righteousness to them, because their sins were imputed to Christ, and that is the basis of the atoning death of Christ. But the righteousness that is imputed, of course, includes his perfect life. And so this is a very experimental section dealing with fundamental matters about sin, the confession of sin, the forgiveness of sins. Psalm 32, the first 6 stanzas. O blessed is the man to whom is freely pardoned all the transgressions he hath done, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man to whom the Lord imputeth not his sin, and in whose spirit there is no guile, nor fraud is found therein. When as I did refrain my speech, and silent was my my tongue. My bones then waxed old, because I roared all day long. For upon me both day and night thine hand did heavy lie, so that my moisture turned is in summer's drought thereby. I thereupon have unto thee my sin acknowledged, and likewise mine iniquity I have not covered. I will confess unto the Lord my trespasses said I, and of my sin thou freely didst forgive the iniquity. And if you were following that in the sofa, you'll see where I slipped in and out of the tenor and soprano parts. The third line goes mi, fa, sol, la, and the tenor goes sol, la, mi, fa, and on two different verses I slipped from the one to the other, showing you how you could use the notes in the one to get the notes in the other when you're slipping from one to the other. I put in a little grace note in one of the stanzas. Instead of so, mi, do, so, mi, re, do, just as a variation. So until the next time, God bless.